So the Saber developer stream just ended, and they talked about Evil Dead the game. They answered all your hardest hitting burning questions about balance changes, about upcoming DLC, about bug fixes, right? Not quite. That dev stream did not inspire confidence over this game's future. That was pretty bad. And I don't like to be overly critical about developers and the way they communicate with their community, because I know game development is hard. But that was really sad to watch. It's really bizarre because the whole time I was watching this live stream, and specifically the Q&A portions, it was as if they live in their own little bubble where they like don't know anything about what's going on, because I'm reading the chat and I'm seeing all these questions about all the stuff that people probably have the biggest concerns about. Like, hey, when is the new DLC stuff coming out? What are you guys working on currently? Like, do you have any announcements? Like, hey, like, what's going to be the next new Survivor? What's going to be the next new Demon? They didn't answer any of that. They ignored most of the stuff that was being typed in chat, and it seemed as though they were inventing questions that nobody in the chat was actually asking, that were just like softball questions that they could give really vague answers to. It was very strange. But let's get into the recap of what happened here, specifically the Q&A portion. They did play 3 matches of just Evil Dead, where they invited streamers, and they were playing games against a Demon player who I think was from the dev team, and the dev was really bad at Demon. The survivors swept. They won all 3 games with ease. So that wasn't a very good like indicator of how the balance in this game is actually working right now. Whether or not you think demons are OP, whether or not you think survivors are OP, I think anyone who watched that could have agreed that wasn't a good representation of how the balance is working in this game currently, because the guy who played demon was not very good. But as far as their questions went, this is every question that was asked and every answer that was given. There's nothing missed here, and there weren't many questions asked, so let's just go through them. They mentioned the stamina and early game basic unit possessions, but just made a general statement about how the team Saber has stats for everything, including who people are playing and their win-loss ratios. That was actually probably the only answer they gave that gave like any kind of new information whatsoever, is the fact that they do have access to advanced stats on who's winning and who's playing what. That's a good thing. Probably one of the only positive things that came from that stream. I'm glad that they have access to advanced stats. That would be really cringe if they didn't. Hopefully that will help them with balance and help them realize, like, hey, just because there's a community outcry for XYZ, check the stats. You know, if it turns out that demons are winning games 95% of the time, which I don't know that those are this, I'm making this up. Maybe survivors win the games 90% of the time. They could check the stats, and so even if demons are winning 90% of the time and survivors are doing all this crying, or demons rather are doing all this crying about survivors are OP, they could look at the stats and be like, that's not true. The stats don't say that. So that's a good thing. The second thing is they went over 6,500 pieces of feedback on their feedback form on their website. They do have a feedback form on their website. I'll put the link in the description of this video if you are interested in that. There is some like weird website you could go to. You have to sign up for it, which stinks, but I guess it's a good way of like making sure that trolls don't type like your game sucks and then hit enter. But it is very like in depth. I visited it myself. You could literally like click on what you want to give feedback on, whether it's balance stuff, what sort of future content you want to see, what sort of bugs need to be fixed, all that sort of stuff. So according to them, they are reading through every single piece of feedback that they get. So if you're interested, link will be in the description of this video to let you know where you can give your feedback. They asked, are there any plans to expand progression? The answer was basically no. and that their focus right now is trying to add more playable characters. By the way, the dev who gave this answer, she was from Madrid. They have a team in Madrid, Spain. She kept giving like really weird answers the whole time. They were like, not only were they super vague, but sometimes they didn't make sense, and it was very strange. Like they weren't, nobody was very direct. Like they could have very easily been like, no, that's not in the plans right now. But instead they all kind of like talked around it. So no, there's no plans for like leveling after you hit max level on Demon at level 45, or after you hit max level on Survivor at level 25. It sounds like there are no plans for leveling past that, and there's going to be no prestige system till maybe like, I assume people are referring to like Dead by Daylight, where you get a character to 25 prestige and you get like a special cosmetic that says, hey, I play this character a lot. There are no plans for that. Any chance? No, I already said that one. Will there be more objective variety added to the game? They gave a really vague answer once again, where they said the team is, quote, thinking of everything, and that if they come up with cool stuff, they'll share it. That also really doesn't inspire confidence, because if that's true, and they're like, hey, as soon as we have ideas for cool stuff we want to do, we'll tell you. They didn't tell us anything this stream, so does that mean they have no ideas? I don't know, but that implies that they have nothing, no ideas brewing right now. So that's kind of depressing. Hopefully the guy just misspoke. Will there be a Demon versus AI mode? Because if you've seen in the menu, there's a mode for you to play solo as a survivor, so you could play with AI survivor teammates against an AI Demon. And that gives you the freedom, I guess, to kind of practice your survivor gameplay before you go into a multiplayer match. They basically didn't answer this one. One of the devs said something that kind of got cut out about how, hey, there's a complicated game to play. Essentially, their answer sounded like, no, we don't have plans for a human demon versus AI survivors mode, and like, just jump into a match. That's your mode, is what it sounded like they were trying to say. Like, jump into a game and practice against real people. So the answer basically was no. This was a strange one, because I didn't see a single person ask this question, and why anyone like really cares about this right now. But hey, if you're a lore Andy, you're somebody who really cares about lore, maybe you cared about this. But it was, how do all the different ashes exist in one universe? And a dev answered by saying, if you listen to the Nobi recordings that you unlock by playing the solo missions, they will reveal that Professor Nobi tried to summon the hero from the sky that's prophesized in the Necromancer, or Necronomicon, and accidentally pulled all of Ash's friends, including the different variants of Ash, into the same place. So some multiversal MCU type stuff where he tried to summon people and accidentally summoned different variants of all of his friends from other timelines, I guess, is the answer to that, and how they all exist in one place. And the last thing they said was, or asked was, well, I guess this was just something they said. There was no question here. They said there will be more streams like that in the future where you could play with the developers, especially this summer with the launch of the Castle Kandar map. And that's the last thing they said. So they were like, hey, if you guys really want to play games with us, we'll have more opportunities coming up this summer. And that was it. That was the end of the stream. That was the last question they answered. That was the last thing they said. So yeah, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't something that really made me have positive thoughts about the future of this game. I was hoping they would announce like, hey, when is the Castle Kandar map going to come out? After that, like, because I understand that if you're a developer team, maybe you don't want to talk about content that's not coming out yet, but we've known about the Castle Kandar map, so I don't understand why they couldn't give us some kind of timetable, like just this summer, which is what we've known this whole time. It'd be nice to at least narrow it down to a month. Is it coming in July? Is it coming this month in June? Is it coming in August? When's it coming? We don't know. They're not telling us. It's also really funny because it reminds me of when DBD announced something once. I don't remember what it was, but they announced something and they were like, yeah, it's going to be coming out this summer. And did you know that when it launched, it came out literally the last day of summer? like if you check your calendar and the summer days, the last day on the calendar for summer was when they released that content that they said would be out in the summer. It was really funny. So we don't know. We don't know when Castle Kaadar is coming out. There was a million questions in the chat about Hunter stamina and whether or not that was OP, and if that they were going to look at balance in regards to that. There was a ton of questions about basic unit possessions and whether or not that's OP and if that needs to be touched. They didn't answer any questions on that. So we didn't get anything about balance. They just said, hey, we have numbers and we're looking at them and we'll decide based off of that. So we don't have any specifics on that. Bug fixes, got absolutely nothing on that. We don't know anything about bug fixes right now. So that was it. That was the developer stream. I saved you guys about, I don't know, an hour and 50 minutes from having to watch the whole thing. So if you were interested in the Q&A portion of that stream, here you go. Here's the video on it. Those are all the questions that were asked, by the way. I didn't miss anything. I made sure to check all the Q&A portions. They didn't answer much, so I'm sorry I don't have more info for you. It's kind of sad. I was hoping that I'd have more info to give you and be excited about this video, but this is all they gave us. So hey, keep playing Evil Dead the game, and I hope you keep having fun with it. And hopefully the next time they do a dev stream, it's a little better than this one, gives a little more information. But until then, I'm personally looking forward to the next patch. But thanks for watching.